Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Ari, and today I'm going to be talking about POTS. POTS is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. I can't believe I just said all of that perfectly. Tachycardia is just a fancy name for elevated heart rate. I started taking a new blood pressure medication in July of 2022, and I noticed that the medication was making me feel off. Like I just didn't feel normal. I felt woozy. I felt a little lightheaded. My appetite was different. I wasn't able to eat a lot of the foods that I was eating before, and I just felt strange, like something was wrong. I felt like a little bit of a shortness of breath after doing simple things like showering or walking up a flight of steps. So I was assured that the blood pressure medication probably wasn't the issue, but I ended up in the emergency room because I had an episode where my heart just started racing, and it was pretty scary, and it took a while for it to come back down to a normal rate. So while it was doing that, I ended up going to the ER just to see what was happening and see if it was related to the blood pressure medication. I'm gonna fast forward because it has been a lot. I've probably been almost 10 times to the ER since July, and it is now the beginning of March. So every single time I went to the ER, it was kind of the same situation where my heart was just racing, couldn't really slow it down, and I just felt off. I remember there were times where I'd fainted before. There were times, and usually what was happening was I would be going from a sitting position to stand up or something, or if I had to get up and use the bathroom in the middle of the night, or had to get up and tend to my daughter who's crying. So a lot of it was I was changing position, and then that's when my heart would start racing, or if I bent over to pick up some laundry off the floor. So those I noticed were the triggers for me, and I talked to my cardiologist. So initially they changed my blood pressure medication. That didn't work. They lowered the blood pressure medication dosage. That also didn't work. I still ended up in the ER with these same symptoms. So eventually, in talking to my cardiologist about all of my symptoms that I was experiencing, he kind of diagnosed me with POTS. Now, it's not an official diagnosis because technically, in order to really be diagnosed with POTS, you have to do, I believe it's called a tilt test, where they put you on a table, and essentially they're checking to see if your heart fills with blood properly. A lot of places don't actually do the test anymore because even if it's POTS or not, usually the recommendation is always the same. So they just decided to go straight with the recommendation and try to see how this works. Some of the symptoms I was experiencing, extreme thirst and still feeling thirsty. I drink a lot of water. I pretty much only drink water. I remember feeling freezing cold, to the point that I'm shivering. This would be especially prevalent when I was having an episode of POTS. I was just so cold, cold to the touch, and just I couldn't stop shaking. Reduced appetite. Now this is one that I've been experiencing for several months, and I don't know if it's related to POTS or if it's related to the medications that I was on, but I have just not been able to eat. And when I do eat, I get full very quickly. And if I do continue to eat, because I'm an eater, I like food, I would feel like I'm gonna be sick. I literally had to vomit. There's also this feeling of mental fog where there's a little bit of dizziness sometimes, but it's just this weird fog in your head. And you kind of feel like you're in a tunnel, if that makes sense. You also might feel woozy, a little lightheaded. And this is especially true when you wake up from sleeping in the middle of the night, or you're overly tired, or if you go from a sitting to standing position, or you just bend over really quickly. There's also this fatigue. It's not a normal fatigue, but it's when you go up a flight of stairs, it's just this whew, okay, I need to just maybe sit down for a second. Or even standing up for too long in the shower, I noticed for me was I would need to just wrap it up and go sit down because it was just too much for my body. And after I have an episode of tachycardia, which fortunately for me has only lasted maybe 15-20 minutes max, I feel really tired after. I feel I don't know, you're just worn out. There's something very depleting about these episodes where you just feel exhausted after, and it's you just need to lay down to recover. It's your body literally went through a traumatic experience. So for me, my heart rate has gotten over 200 beats per minute while laying down twice, as far as the episodes are concerned. So it's very scary. You can literally feel your body shaking because your heart is beating so fast. And I think that also leads to anxiety because you don't really know how to stop it. For me, I've just been laying down, trying to take in fluids if I can, especially like Gatorade, something with electrolytes and a little bit of sodium, which I think is important for me because I don't really eat a lot of salt because of my high blood pressure. It's really strange too because I feel like sometimes you can like feel when the episodes are going to come on, especially if I'm like overly tired and I haven't slept well. It's very strange too. I used to be a really great sleeper, like can fall asleep really quickly, stay asleep. But now, since the episodes of POTS have started occurring, the tachycardia episodes, I've noticed that my sleep has been really disrupted. I'm not really able to fall asleep. I just feel anxious. I feel like I can't go to sleep. I also, it might sound weird, but I usually like to sleep in the dark. No TV, no sound, no lights. What's been happening as of late is I actually need to sometimes turn on the TV and just like turn the volume down a little bit, but like have something in the background playing so it distracts me from like hearing my heartbeat. It's almost like I can't hear, like I don't want to hear my body because I'm nervous. I think that part is a little bit more anxiety related, but it's definitely affected me because I'm a lot more tired now that I can't really have my regular sleep routine. I stopped taking my blood pressure medication because I noticed that the episodes continued to come, and that was literally the one thing that changed in my lifestyle before this whole like tachycardia and POTS episodes started happening. So I literally stopped taking my blood pressure medication, but I did monitor my blood pressure regularly just to make sure it was okay. And I also knew that I was talking with my primary care doctor and my cardiologist within the next 2 weeks. So I felt comfortable doing that for a little bit of time. I'm not suggesting stopping taking medication, but if there's something that's not like literally making you sick and you don't feel well and you continue to go to the ER, you need to talk to your doctor. So I stopped taking my blood pressure medication and I have not had a tachycardia POTS episode since then. Granted, it's only been a couple of weeks at this point, but I do feel like there are times where I have that like pre-episode feeling where it could happen, but it hasn't happened. My cardiologist basically said that he feels pretty confident based on my symptoms that I have POTS. And what they did was jump straight to the recommendation. The recommendation was exercise, and there's a very specific program that he gave me. It's actually recommended by the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. The Children's Hospital of Philadelphia actually has done a ton of research on people with POTS. So they are the ones that came up with this kind of exercise routine. The program starts off very simple, because sometimes people with POTS have difficulty with postural changes, which makes sense. It's a postural syndrome. So a lot of the recommendations for the first set of exercises is things that you can do sitting down or laying down. Effectively, the idea is that through exercise, you can retrain your heart to circulate blood properly. Because it's not getting enough blood flow, it's causing these episodes where your heart starts to race in order to pump that blood a little quicker to the places it's not flowing to. So essentially what the exercise is doing is retraining your heart, reconditioning that muscle, because again, your heart is a muscle. So it's reconditioning, re-strengthening that muscle to know how to properly circulate the blood. A lot of the exercises are leg focused because your legs actually push the blood back up to your heart. So it's actually really important to have strength in your legs and your lower body. Admittedly, I was not exercising for months, so I am actually not super surprised that part of the reason why this has been occurring so regularly has been because I've been not exercising. And once I stopped exercising and this started happening, I haven't necessarily had the energy or the courage to really exercise the way I used to because it just wears you down. It's so exhausting. So you're tired, so you're not really motivated to exercise. And then you also have this fear of like, what if it happens again? So I think for me, a lot of it is kind of getting back into the routine. And they gave me this printout. I will actually show you guys exactly what the exercises are. I'm going to start day 1 tomorrow. I will caution that some people have to start at different places. If you're comfortable getting up and moving around and doing these exercises, at least my cardiologist suggested that I could start at a higher level, but some people are going to need to start at day 1. So I think the important thing with this routine is consistency. They are adamant about sticking to the exercises and making sure that you don't miss days. They also emphasize a recovery day because that is the way that you're building muscles. You need that recovery time in order for your muscles to be developed. It takes a huge commitment in order to make exercise part of your life, and to make sure that you're consistent with it, because even with this program, if you miss a day, you have to like go back. And if you miss a few days, you're literally erasing all of the work that you did to help recondition your heart. So I'm encouraged. I will be honest, it's been very scary, but I think I feel a little bit of relief knowing that there are other people out there who are experiencing the same thing, and that they've done so much research on how to actually help people. To be very clear, there is no cure for POTS. You'll probably still have it after this, but the idea is to condition your heart to the point that it doesn't have those episodes where it ends up beating hyper fast, the tachycardia episodes. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my really honest video. If you have POTS, or if you know anyone who is dealing with it, definitely leave a comment below, thumbs up. Let's put more support out for this community. It's so frustrating when you know there's something going on with your body and it's just dismissed as like anxiety or something else. For me, that was part of my experience too, and talking with my primary care doctor. No offense, but she's not a heart specialist. So I definitely encourage you to talk to a cardiologist if you're experiencing any of these symptoms. And if you've actually implemented the exercise routine suggested by the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, please let me know, and let me know what your results were. I will keep you guys up to speed, probably on a weekly basis, of my progress, and hopefully no more tachycardia episodes. Thank you for joining me on this journey.